Hello there. I'm going to be looking at run. Somebody posted on Reddit they're struggling around Covenant level 8, which is often where kind of the difficulty spikes for Seraph. And uh, just looking here, I noticed there's a ton of units. That's just the first thing that comes to mind here. Um, Maybe too many, but I'm going to just play the run from a fresh perspective here without like trying to avoid knowing too much about the run and talk about maybe some of my thought processes about how I might go about winning this one. So I'm going to hit start run here. Okay, the very first thing right off the bat that I'm going to look at here is the Seraph. And often you have to plan some of your decision making to combat the Seraph. And in this case, the Patient punishes you kind of hard for playing a lot of spells when Seraph is on the same floor as you. So you want to make kind of plans to be able to survive that effect without casting too many spells. Unfortunately, this clan combination does kind of encourage you to play a ton of spells, so we'll see how that plays out. We start off with Flash Freeze, which is target removal, preemptive target removal, pretty good. Edge Prior, kind of mediocre. Let's look at our artifacts. Okay, so this is maybe controversial. This is more of a my playstyle thing, but often I will find myself skipping this first artifact if they don't provide me with immediate benefits or long-term benefits. So these these do not provide immediate benefits since we don't have any consume spells and our spells are kind of weak. And they don't provide long-term benefits necessarily. The spell weakness might, but the strongest champion, in my opinion, this is of course subjective, is the Explosive Sentient. And that basically has nukes that are not affected by spell weakness. So I'm going to skip this for money. Money is a great way to get a good head start. Okay, we're presented with a choice of Explosive or Bristling. Now, Explosive is just really strong at dealing with front units. Bristling deals with the backline. The thing about Explosive, though, is it can kill waves and it can live through the boss. Bristling can deal with backlines and live through and do damage to the boss. So I'm looking at against the Patient specifically, who only attacks once, the Bristling is weaker than normal, and I just tend to lean in towards Explosive anyway. I have a few videos on that topic, but I think it's a very strong unit. Okay, so the Explosive Sentient is super strong at dealing with this first ring. I think you can probably pretty much take almost any trial. Alright, I'm going to sit up on the top floor. This is probably just a good general practice. There are exceptions, of course, but almost always you want to sit up on the top floor. And I'm going to turn up the volume here. So the reason for that is you have 2 more turns to scale. And that's about it, yes. For both the boss and this first wave, you have 2 more turns to get rid of junk from your deck, and you're just, in higher difficulties, you're more likely to get the Collector. So I have enough Ember to play everything, so I will. Start working on damage here, and throughout this Train Steward. It's not really going to be a big part of my game plan. Okay, Collector's super important. I could get 1 regen here, but I think probably better just to thin out my deck a little bit. So now I don't have any more Train Stewards in my deck. One's dying here. And it's kind of important to kill this guy, otherwise I'm not going to last very long and relentless. Just maintain my regen here. As you can see, the explosive, even with only 3 regen, does pretty well here. Okay. I think getting a little bit of extra regen couldn't hurt. Now here is probably one of my biggest pieces of advice, is accepting the fact that sometimes it's the right idea to skip cards or artifacts. Here we already have 2 flash freezes. Mollusk Mage would help us do a little more damage, but that's not really gonna... So this Sentient will do 60 damage once it is fully upgraded. And so Mollusk Mage will, make a Sting do 17 damage? It's so irrelevant. So I think skipping here is the right move. And man, so these are actually 3 good options. So I think the strongest option is the Siren of the Sea, but Husk Hermit is worth considering. The reason the Husk Hermit is worth considering is specifically because we're facing Seraph the Patient. And I think a good strategy for dealing with this particular boss is setting up what I like to call a distraction floor. A unit that can stay alive without too much babysitting, or be given endless, to kind of draw in Seraph and to absorb melee weakness. But I think it's more important to have your main floor doing damage, and I'm going to pick Siren of the Sea. And the reason I think Siren of the Sea is so good is, I'm going to make it my goal to have most of my deck just be 0 cost restores. So once that happens, I'm going to be doing 60 damage eventually when I hit restore on my champion, 20 for now. And that's going to increase the damage permanently on the Siren. And so that'll be a lot of damage output and some defensive stuff once my Sentient dies. So this is a very strong unit. Okay, another consideration that I like to do here is, before hitting this Concealed Caverns, I think it's very strong to have a spell that you're willing to duplicate 5 times. Right now, I mean, I would probably just maybe dupe a Restore or a Sap, but it would be so much better if it was a 0 cost Restore that I duped. So the other thing you might want for that is a unit or a spell that you're willing to give up for upgrades, and we'll come to that if it comes up. But because there's no Merchant of Magic over in this ring before the cavern, I think it's important to visit the Merchant of Magic. The Woken Hollow could be an option for dealing with Seraph the Patient, but I'm going to turn it down for now. It's not the best, because in order to fully take advantage of it, you have to cast heals on it, and those heals are better off on the Sentient itself. So I'm going to make this restore cheaper. I'm going to make this Frozen Land consume, so it gets out of my deck. It's cheaper than paying to remove it. And double stack on the Sap. It's pretty good. I mean, I'd rather have had more money for getting another cheap restore, but that's pretty good still. And I'm going to say that this trial is worth it because there's still some good units to get. Titan Sentry or Husk Hermit are probably the ones I'm looking for. So again, like I said on the first ring, I'm sitting up on the top floor for maximum time to scale. In this case, I can't play both the Restore and the Sap. I think it's worth getting this out there. Fortunately, it does mean I can't get to the Collector. Oh, I misclicked there. But now they're all dying at least. forgot, with this difficulty there's no random space reduction, so I actually don't need to discount restores technically. Let's see how we're doing. We're doing pretty good. So, just by casting these restores, the Siren of the Sea is already doing significant damage. Glimmer is okay. I'm wondering if it's needed. If I get Glimmer, that means I could remove Flash Freezes, which is pretty good. I think I might pick it up for that reason. And then I think I skip here. I think I'm done with units. I have enough damage. The only thing I would pick up is maybe a Titan Sentry. Yeah, actually, I do want another unit for that. So let's go looking for that. Okay. It's not bad. This isn't bad either. Do we have any Frostbite? We do have Frostbite. Let's do Cuddlebeard. And now we got Titan Sentry, which is great. So this is going to clear out all the backliners for us, mitigate a lot of damage to our Pyre potentially. Okay, so I think setting, we don't really want a random floor because Seraph the Patient's going to spawn units on the top floor, so we pretty much want to set up there. So we'll take the space, and now we have room for an extra unit, so we'll keep an eye out for maybe we duplicate our Siren once we get it, depending on if we want to keep the Edge Prior around. Okay, so because these guys have Rage, we're going to want to set up on top anyway, but especially because of that. Again, let's just get this out of there. It's the most expensive card in my deck. Set you up. You're gonna die pretty quickly, but I don't know. There's not much we can do about it. Because he's dying so quickly, I'm not worried about trying to keep him alive, since he's gonna die anyway. So good. So I'm just trying to maximize my restore stacks here. And get these train stewards out of here. Doing just fine. Okay. Because all of our restores are potentially going to be free, I think getting this Cycle of Life in the mix could be worth it, just to have a little extra safety, and we can use it on our Titan Sentry as well. So I think we skip the units here and go for draw. And I think it's time for some unit upgrades. We're looking for large on our Titan Sentry and endless on our Titan Sentry. Looking for multi-strike on our Siren. I don't think we can afford it right now, so I'm not even gonna look. I'm not gonna spend money right now looking for it. Because it would cost at least 100 gold. So if we spent 50 re-rolling, it wouldn't be available. we have a pretty strong deck here, so I think we can take this challenge. This will buy us some time, and might as well put that train steward over there. And restoring doesn't do anything there. Put you there. And you're dead, but you bought us time, so it's all good. Just so we don't converge here, I'm gonna do that. Dying. And we're doing just fine. Okay, so Awake might seem like it's a good idea. And actually, it might be. It might be. We only have one extra source of regen besides Restores. It might be a decent card, especially with if we keep the Edgebriar around. I'm not sure if we will, and I think we're at the point where we skip most cards. So I'm going to look again for unit upgrades. I'm looking for Endless and Multi-Strike. Right, we got Multi-Strike here, so our damage is doing well. And Endless on a Titan Sentry means we are set. We can start removing cards, I think, starting with this Frozen Lance and another Frozen Lance. These are just very weak cards that mean we don't draw into Restores. Okay, so naturally with an Endless unit we want to set up on the bottom floor. And one Restore is not going to do anything to this champion right now. Let's get that out of there. Heal for one. Let's kill you. Get you down here. Start working on you. Killing you. I think we want to get, we want to save room for this guy. Let's get that out of the deck. Already doing most of the damage. Yeah, we're killing even before we get to our main floor, which is cool. Power of an Endless Titan Sentry. No need for that one. We don't have any discard cards. This one would be okay, but I think we're just going to take draw twice, and it's probably excessive. It's another card we'd have to upgrade. Just skipping cards here. Already have the unit upgrades we need, so let's look for artifacts. I think Light's Gift is actually unnecessary because it would, we're gonna be able to handle that incoming damage, I'm pretty sure. So I'm gonna say we skip that one. Silence does not work on the patient, unfortunately. And extra card draw is just great. Dazed. Okay, that's fine. This guy will go down here and kill that backliner, because Revenge does not matter if you're dazed or not. Let's get you in medics. Let's get you in here. Dazed is fine. So I think getting 3 regen is probably worth it. And we can consume this. Just keeping the regen maxed, even though we're full health. It's important to keep that number high. Power of the explosive sentient here is strong. And I think we get this guy out of there. It looks like he's dying just in time to respawn next turn. So I really need to reduce the cost of a cycle of life. Play that guy. Okay, and we're going to, just for fun, play cycle of life. Hoarfrost Effigy could be a way to speed up killing Seraph. If we're just trying to win, that's not that important. And it's not going to probably do it anyway. So I think I'm going to skip on that. It's expensive. And we'll take a draw. And I think it's important that we get some spell upgrades here. Just to make sure we can play everything. Make this more relevant. I think maybe, yeah, reduce the cost of Awake and consume this frozen lance. It's cheaper than paying to remove it. One of these. I think that's fine. The money is going to come in handy, and I think we can handle this. So set up on top. Alright, we're going to set here, and we're going to kill that guy. Really don't like having all these extra cards. Killing you. There we go. This guy will come in handy. Get out of here. Yeah, we're completely ember drained here. doing fine. Okay, going into the final ring, looking pretty strong for Seraph. I don't think we need anything in particular, but the silence is amazing. So this is like kind of a game changer for Seraph the Patient, because it makes it so he does not gain attack, which is huge. So I have a choice here. I could get a second Siren to do more damage, or I could just discount more spells. It's kind of weird because if I get a second Siren, that means I can't fit in this guy that does spell discounts. So I don't know. I think I want to look at the possibility of getting a Siren, or getting multi-strike on it. Alright, let's just remove Sting. Look at the artifacts. Of course I got that from my other Sting. So I think we duplicate a free restore. And maybe remove a flash freeze, just make sure we draw into our restores more. Yeah, I think the other flash freeze as well. It's important we draw into our restores frequently. So we haven't drawn into our silence yet. So we don't want to play in the middle floor at all, and because silence will mean that he doesn't get bonuses. Alright, still haven't drawn into it. I think we're guaranteed to next turn. Yeah, we are, so let's do it. And this guy is endless, so it's perfect. Silence here means he stays at 20 attack the whole fight, which makes the whole fight a lot easier. We've removed a bunch of cards from our deck here. The hardest wave of the whole fight. I think we're looking pretty strong here. Still haven't played our Wildwood Sap, but we've gotten all of us consumed stuff besides that. Final wave. Actually, kind of want you to last a little longer. It should be just fine with 39 regen. Yep. So let's look at the run summaries here. I mean, obviously, I just kind of thought I'd do a run to show you my thought process. It's hard to determine what decision points lead to whether it's a win or a loss, but so I thought I'd show you the whole run. But look, I can also look at the other run, the original run, to see what might have been the issue there. So here I, identified early I had explosive sentient. That's pretty like that's a unit that will kill the waves by just casting restores, as long as you keep a fairly trim deck, which I tried to do. And it will last through Relentless because of those regen cards. So that's most of the issues solved alone. Then I saw an early Siren of the Sea. Because we're casting the restores on the same lane as the Sentient, it's a lot of incant triggers, so it's a lot of damage. And then Edgeprior, because of the difficulty level, we were able to always fit that in there, which meant discounting the restores was even less of a priority. You see, I still did 2 of them, but I probably would have, if I didn't have that, I might have made it a bigger priority to discount these ones, and maybe not even picked up the Awake. Titan Sentry is an amazing unit in almost every deck. It clears out backlines, and in this fight specifically, it provides a distraction for Seraph. And then finally, Unnamed Tome is basically kind of a hard counter to Seraph. So I got that last minute. I don't think we needed it, but it made it a lot easier. So I'm going to look at the original run here. All right, so here's the original run. So I'm looking at, okay, so I'm looking at here, just general principles. You did a 1-turn boss rush. Okay, so you did set up on the top floor here. You set up on the bottom floor here, bottom floor, bottom floor, bottom floor, bottom floor. You took 88 damage, so you struggled on this one. I don't know. I'm wondering if you set up on the bottom floor there, and then here you lost. So I'm looking at what might have gone wrong. You took Explosive Sentient, which is great. I agree with this choice. You went with Wing Clippings, which you did have ended up with some consume cards, so it's fine. I noticed that there was no Wildwood Sap, which would probably be the best use of Wing Clippings. You got a multi-strike Cold Celia. I think that was instead of a Siren of the Sea, which is interesting. I'm not as huge a fan of it, but I can see what you're going for here. You're going for more of a Frostbite build. And then I'm not sure what's going on with this Edgeprior. So you gave it Endless and Spikes. So were you using this to tank? I'm not sure that I mean, with a 15 health unit, I don't think so. Basically, it would be dying every turn, and that's one card that you have to draw and 1 ember that you have to spend to play it, for minimal value, because if you use all these restores on your champion, he's going to live anyway. So I think that maybe could have caused some inconsistency in your deck, and especially against Seraph the Patient, where it gets strength every time you play a unit in the same lane. I think that might have increased its strength too much. This Mollusk Mage doesn't really do a lot for you. I see you made it large, so I'm wondering if you were sitting up on like all 3 floors maybe. And then this Glacial Seal, you spent money to make it bigger. I guess you didn't spend much money, so it's not a big deal. So I think maybe the issue is just where you're what kind of upgrades you were spending. So like giving Endless to the Edgeprior probably hurt a lot, whereas you could have given Endless to the Titan Sentry, and that would have been a huge help. Mollusk Mage getting larger probably didn't impact, like, you're relying on your units to do damage, but your Sentient does so much damage. I do like that you didn't pick up too many extra spells. I'm not sure about this Restoration Detonation. So yeah, I think that maybe just the unit upgrades are where you could look at for making improvements on future runs. and it looks like you needed to take capacity twice to fit in all the units. If you had instead taken card draw, then you would be able to play more restores and do more damage, for example. So I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious to see. It's hard for me to figure out what the floor setup was like here, and so I could comment more if I knew that. But I think that maybe trying to focus down how many floors you're setting up. I'd advise even just getting a single tank, in this case the Sentient, and a single DPSer. So I went with the Siren of the Sea. Cold Celia isn't bad, considering Sentient does a lot of damage with restores, and then trimming down a lot of these other cards out of your deck. So maybe not the Mollusk Mage. Oh, you have 3 Cold Celias. I didn't even notice that. So yeah, you're very unit heavy, and I think that's often a trap that can happen. I mean, sometimes it works, but I think oftentimes it doesn't. So that's just something to look at. I hope this helped. This is just my opinion, like on strategy. There's certainly others that work, so take it with a grain of salt.